Hello, friends! Today we're going to be learning about sharks. We're going to read Surprising Sharks. Surprising Sharks is an informational text, and so it's structured a little differently than fiction books or fiction texts, which tell make believe stories. This is a nonfiction book and tells us information and facts about sharks. Some cool things that we get to learn about and learn how to use and that are in this book are an index and diagrams or very detailed and labeled pictures. So I look forward to reading Surprising Sharks with you. Surprising Sharks by Nicola Davies, illustrated by James Croft. Surprising Sharks is an informational text, and so that means that the structure is a little different than a fiction text or a make-believe story. One thing that you'll notice that many informational texts have are pictures or diagrams. An example is these sharks. Let's look closer at the goblin shark. This picture shows what the shark looks like. We can see the name of the shark as well as how big the shark would be in real life. 10 feet, 8 inches. Now this drawing is not 10 feet and 8 inches. In fact, if I take out a ruler, I can see, first when I'm measuring, I'm going to make sure I line it up and I'm starting at 0. And then I'm measuring until the very tip. So here, so the drawing of the shark is about 4.5. Oh, I'm going to make sure I go all the way. It's almost to 5 inches. Now remember, there's 12 inches in a foot, and this drawing's only 5 inches, when in real life, a goblin shark is 10 feet and 8 inches big or long. So while this isn't the actual size of the shark, if you compare the goblin shark to the whale shark, you'll see that they're drawn very different sizes. Let's zoom in on the whale shark and see that a whale shark is 39 feet 4 inches, which is way bigger than 10 feet 8 inches, which explains why the whale shark is so much bigger than the goblin shark. This shows that the drawings are drawn somewhat to scale. So if something is smaller in real life, it will be smaller in the drawing. This Port Jackson shark is only 4 feet, which is smaller than 10 feet, so it's smaller than the goblin shark, and it's drawn proportionally, so that means about the same difference smaller as in real life. Another feature or thing that is special about the book is that it has an index. An index is a tool that is in a lot of informational texts that we can use to help find specific information. For example, I want to find out some information about lantern sharks. So I'm going to look through my index and see if that's one of the topics or types of sharks talked about. Aha! Lantern sharks. I'm going to move my finger across and I see that I will find information about lantern sharks on pages 9 and 10. So then I turn to pages 9 and 10, where I can read about the dwarf lantern shark. It's the smallest kind of shark in the world, just bigger than a chocolate bar. Not a giant, certainly no man-eater, and a killer only if you happen to be a shrimp. So let's look at that shark. That's the dwarf lantern shark, which I learned about here. Now let's see what's on page 10. You see, most sharks are not at all what you might expect. After all, who would expect a shark to have built-in fairy lights or blow up like a party balloon? Let's zoom in and see what this text reads. Like all lantern sharks, black belly lantern shark has light-making organs on its tummy. They help it to blend in with the silvery surface of the sea and avoid ending up as dinner for a bigger fish. So light-making organs on the belly. Now, these are swell sharks, so a different type of shark than lantern sharks. And if I'm doing a project or researching lantern sharks, I only want to know about lantern sharks, so I might not want to look at that. So to recap, I used the index, which is found in the back of the book, to see that I can find out about lantern sharks on pages 9 and 10. And I learned that lantern sharks are some of the smallest sharks in the world, and that they have light-making organs. Now, I'm looking and I'm interested in learning about the dogfish. Let's go to page 19 to see what we can learn about the dogfish. 19. Dogfish. Dogfish lay eggs called mermaid purses. They have strings that tangle in the weeds to keep them safe in storms. Very interesting. Now this is a unique type of, here on these pages we see a diagram or a labeled picture of a shark. So looking at the diagram, we can see that parts of the picture are labeled. So the line means that this part of the picture is the gill slits. This box is a zoomed in picture of what the gill slits look like, and beside it we have an explanation for what they are. We also have a similar zoomed in picture for skin with an explanation and some information about the fins and the tail and where the tail and the different fins are. So altogether, this is a diagram or labeled picture of a shark. So that's another feature sometimes found in informational texts. So this is a really fun informational text in that it can also be read as a story. So we're going to read it as a story now. Surprising Sharks by Nicola Davies, illustrated by James Croft. You're swimming in the warm blue sea. What's the one word that turns your dream into a nightmare? What's the one word that makes you think of a giant, man-eating killer? Shark. Shark? Yes, it's a shark. It's a dwarf lantern shark. It's the smallest kind of shark in the world, just bigger than a chocolate bar. Not a giant, certainly no man-eater, and a killer only if you happen to be a shrimp. You see, most sharks are not at all what you might expect. After all, who would expect a shark to have built-in fairy lights or blow up like a party balloon? Or lie on the sea floor like a scrap of old carpet? Or look like tools from a monster's toolkit? In fact, sharks come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. How can such different animals all be sharks? Look carefully and you'll see the things they all share. So this diagram shows things that all sharks share: skin, gills, fins, and a tail. But it isn't the basic body plan that makes sharks sharks. It's their teeth and their jaws and their skeleton that make sharks sharks. It's the sharkish way they behave. Sharks are always hungry and they're always on the lookout for their next meal. Some even start killing before they're born. Some sharks lay eggs and some give birth to live young, but all baby sharks are just like their parents, with sharp teeth and the ability to hunt right from the start. Sharks' senses are fine-tuned, ready for the tiniest hint that might mean food. To a hungry shark, the faintest trail of clues is as clear as a restaurant sign. And when at last they're close enough for the kill, they feel the crackle of their prey's living nerves, so they bite in just the right place, no matter what the prey, whether it's plankton or people. Oh yes, it's true. Some sharks do kill people, about 6 of us, every year. But every year, people kill 100 million sharks. If you were a shark swimming in the lovely blue sea, the last word you'd want to hear would be human. So using our index, we can go back in the book and learn about the different animals and types of sharks. Look up the pages to find out about all these shark things. Don't forget to look at both kinds of words, this kind and this kind. So if we go back and we want to learn about the great white shark, we go to page 23. So these big words, they told us the story we just read. Whereas if we zoom in on these little words, this is where we learn about the great white shark. The great white is one of just 3 species of sharks that attack people regularly. The other 2 are the bull shark and the tiger shark. In fact, only 30 of the 500 different kinds of sharks have ever attacked humans. Crocodiles, elephants, dogs, and even pigs kill more people every year than sharks do. I didn't know that. That's a really neat and interesting fact. And if we zoom in here on the little words, we can learn more about basking sharks. So, if you like this book, or you're reading another informational book, or book with facts, look in the back to see if there's an index so that you can find out more specific information and facts on what interests you. I hope you all enjoyed reading Surprising Sharks. Remember to look for the index in other books that are informational. Also, look for diagrams or very detailed and labeled pictures. I sure learned a lot today about sharks, especially about the lantern shark. What did you learn today? I hope you enjoyed reading Surprising Sharks. I look forward to reading with you more.